Question real quick. Is it okay if we share something with you and even anyone working today?
Yeah, totally.
Cool. I got two of them for us.
Right on.
So I'll just go ahead and start opening one.
Yeah.
And then we'll just reserve a little bit left in that bottle so that we can take it to the front of house.
Do you need me to get fresh glasses or anything, or we go to what we got?
Well, I mean, that would be better.
I'll take fresh glasses.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I'll go get fresh glasses, and you guys, I don't know, talk about whatever.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
We're good at talking about whatever.
It's just beer mostly.
Yeah.
You guys, you want to talk about this? There's a few more issues and one of them's kind of funny, but not, and why some of these breweries are closing. So have you heard of Hicks Farms out of Cookeville?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And I had forgotten when I was doing research for this podcast, I'd kind of forgotten why they aren't in business anymore.
Okay.
They had a drag show
In Cookeville.
in Cookeville.
Oh.
That's not a good look. Not for
No.
Cookeville. Now, hold on. I'm sorry. Don't get me wrong. It's all about inclusivity and being
I
open,
agree,
whatever.
I agree.
But you also have to cater to your audience.
Right.
And Cookeville does not seem like that kind of audience.
Right.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, it's Tennessee. You gotta
We have a
Consider your audience.
yeah. We do have a governor that is against drag shows,
Right.
right? Across the board. So again, I'm not forming an opinion either way, but that was the reason, and the community did not like that. So
Mhm.
some of the community did not like that, and they got them shut down.
So it was basically a boycott.
Yeah.
That's one. You're right. We didn't talk about that. The whole it's a money issue where like people, it's like it's inflationary or supply chain, and people just can't afford to stay open anymore because of economical headwinds, or maybe money wasn't as cheap as it used to be. Didn't even consider the fact that it was people were basically intentionally not going there anymore.
Right. They just got I think to your point, that area might not be the best fit for that. You could probably get away with it in Nashville, I'm guessing, in some places. I mean, you'll
Certain pockets in Nashville,
Yeah.
absolutely.
you'll still
you
have
could.
resistance,
Yeah.
of course, but you
That's a
probably
good point.
survive.
Yeah, didn't even think about that. And Nashville is growing in terms of Nashville's a melting pot. It always has been a melting pot. There's this whole Nashville's about country music, and people, you can obviously tell who's from Nashville and who's visiting Nashville. The people that are from Nashville are not wearing cowboy hats and spurs in their boots.
That's right.
They're not even wearing boots. They're dressed like Parker. They're dressed like me. We're wearing t-shirts and
Or probably way
khaki
more
shorts,
hip than
or
us.
probably
That's
a
it.
little bit more hip than us.
Yep.
But people in Nashville are not dressing like cowboys.
Nope. We don't.
Nashville's a melting pot.
We don't woo.
We don't woo.
Which, speaking of how people are dressed, I got to say, anyone at home watching or listening needs to know that these two guys are absolute, just legends over here, suffering through wearing black
shirts.
t-shirts in the
T-shirts,
sun,
hats.
just suffering.
Just getting.
They're being quiet and haven't said anything about it, but I know deep down inside they're like, oh,
Just getting the front
sweat.
struggle.
This struggle bus
Yeah.
is real right now.
They haven't slowed down a bit though, have
Nope. Well, we're drinking beer which has water and vegetables, because hop comes from a plant, which
That's
is
right.
a salad, which is a vegetable. So, in essence, we're being healthy today.
Malt too also
Malt
is a
too.
vegetable.
Yeah. It all comes from the big man upstairs,
Yes.
which obviously, if he made it, then it must be good
It's a
for you.
big cycle. Big
Yeah.
cycle. Thank
What
you,
are we
sir.
drinking?
Yeah,
What
what
Mitch
is
has
this?
got-
Drunk over here.
This looks like an
like.
ETF.
He's pouring something very, very good looking.
Yeah, I should have pulled up the email to talk better about it. But this is one of Brandon's things down in Yazoo, Future Nostalgia, Volume 1. And I've got Volume 2
Volume
here.
2.
Wow.
And it's as convenient as it can be. It's a Saison brewed with rye malt, orange blossom honey, and Amarillo hops.
That sounds
So
amazing.
this whole
Amazing.
series is exploring unique and rare honey varieties from around the world. And we'll keep it interesting and leave that open.
I hate when Mitch does this, and I end up, because I always talk so much shit about sours and how much I don't like them, and then Mitch brings up something, and there's a whole nother story beyond that, and then he'll bring something like this, and be like, I got another sour I got to drink or whatever, and it's always good.
Yeah.
Every single one of them he
Yeah.
makes is always good.
You're going to have to stop saying you don't like it.
I at some point, well, I haven't said it this time. I kind of joked about it, but I'm not gonna intentionally say it this time. But shouts out to Brandon, because his embrace of fun, he's
It's-
doing the Lord's work over
Yeah,
there.
is
no
it.
doubt. I was about to say,
It's killer.
I haven't even taken a sip yet, but it smells
Smells
like,
amazing.
Brandon.
It
Yeah.
definitely does.
It smells super nice and floral.
Oh, it's the right
Little
temperature to drink
orange.
too.
Oh, man.
What? Man,
Have you guys had to change some of the styles that you make, or the number of stuff, because of the markets? and we can't, I know you said you can't have 3 saisons on anymore, but have you had to kind of curb some of the styles that you make because of the market?
First of all, I got to say this beer is crazy good.
What?
This is phenomenal. Yeah. Kudos to Brandon.
Dang.
That guy can make some beer.
I'm not going in. I'm not going in for a little bit more.
Yeah. Just save some for up front.
Does it.
Yeah, I mean that's nice, dry, floral,
Honey.
It's got
Sweet
definitely
notes.
got that orange, a little bit of like a nice spice note to it, but super subtle.
That's really
Brandon's
good.
Brandon's another one of those intentional guys when he makes something. Like his Embrace the Funk program is always done with purpose. Everything he does, there's always a reason behind what he does. Man, this is good.
Yeah, a little pepperiness. That is really, really nice.
Did you get it from Yazoo?
Yeah.
So you have to go there and get it?
Yeah.
Have we had to pivot styles? Yes, a little bit, but we still have kind of like our core, we do our lager, saison, Belgian golden. So we have those, and then we have our, rotators that we come back with. So Saucy Ballerina, our Belgian triple, we just put on draft this week, and we'll always do it. And that has been probably the brand that's had the most like kind of surprising success for us is, a Belgian triple. We like it, and we wanted to keep making it, but we didn't really expect it to get the traction that it got. People have really latched onto that beer and really enjoy it. So we're gonna keep making it and probably try and put a little bit more emphasis into that brand because people have taken hold of it, and that's the kind of beers we want to be about. But also, we are in the process of kind of transitioning to trying to do a little bit more hoppy stuff. We're still going to be, lager, European heavy, but in the past, so this past winter, we put in a couple new tanks. We hired a new brewer full time. Ironically, also named Zach. So our brewers are Zach and Zach.
Zach and Zach.
Nice.
So if you ever see someone in the back of the brew house when you're visiting the tap room, just say, "Hey Zach."
Hey, Zach.
Someone's
You're
going to
gonna
answer.
get it right.
Someone's going to answer.
Yeah. So we added new tanks, had a new brewer, and then we also added the canning line. So we have a canning machine. And in the past, we hadn't distributed any of our hoppy beers. So that means anytime we would brew an IPA, anything hoppy, we're selling 100% of it through our tap room through draft.
Yep.
And as everyone knows, hoppy beers do not age as gracefully as other beer styles do. So that kind of limited us to where, IPAs are always kind of like the number one selling style. And so they sell through quick, but if the whole batch is going through our draft lines, like by the end of that batch, like it's starting to get at that point where it's aging out and you want it, to get off the draft line. So if you have one IPA, that's fine. If you do 2 IPAs, now those cells are each split in half, so they take twice as long to sell. So they're going to sit on draft as long, and that's going to get old. Now that we've got a canning line, we have a whole nother sales channel to put some of that beer through so we can go through that beer a little bit quicker. And we're going to try and start distributing just a little bit, like not a lot, but just a few sixtels maybe of that beer to help kind of move it quicker. And that will allow us to do a little bit more hoppy stuff. So instead of having 1 or 0 IPAs on the time, we can have 2 or 1, like that, because that was our problem always, was like we only have 1 IPA on. If it kicks before our next batch is ready, then we got none. And then you get people coming in, leaving reviews like, this brewery doesn't have any IPA. What kind of craft brewery is this? And we're like, look, that's not what we, that's not what our specialty is. Right. But we get that people like hoppy beers. We like hoppy beers too. So adding all this stuff and all these different sales channels allows us now to where we can have 2. So if 1 kicks, you still got another one there, and then we'll add a second one back. And so we're going to try and have maybe 2 different IPAs, maybe like a hazy IPA like we just had, a West Coast IPA, so you get 2 different styles. And then, some of the infusion beers I was talking about where it's like a West Coast Pilsner or, like a hoppy lager or a hoppy Belgian ale or, have our own different spin on hops, some classic American hops, but also some lager or Belgian hops as well.
And if you decide to put some of that through the canning channel, right, there's not as much at the tap room, so you can drink that beer fresher and go through it faster without having to hold up a keg or hold up a tap. That makes sense.
I was here a few weeks ago, and you had 2 Oktoberfests on, and I know you still got one. I don't know if you still have both up there or
Yeah.
not, but the Marzen and the Fest beer,
Yep.
they back to back were killer.
And-
We sat right out
Yeah.
here.
You know, I guess maybe not technically an Oktoberfest style, but definitely a German Oktoberfest. The style you'll find at Oktoberfest is our Helles too. So
Yeah.
we put all three of those out kind of in Oktoberfest, and we still got all three of them on.
Do you?
Yeah.
That Marzen color on that thing was amazing. It
Yeah,
is
Scott
amazing.
kind of read my
love
mind
that.
on that. What we were talking about before you came on. What's really the demand? I mean, every year Oktoberfest season comes. Do you guys feel like you got to have it because if you don't, you're not keeping up with what people are wanting?
Well, one, we love like these are the styles that like Zach loves Fest beer.
Same here. Yeah.
That was his thing. I love Märzen.
Zach 1 or Zach 2?
Zach won.
Zach 1.
Zach won. And so first
Zach 2 probably
Oktoberfest-
likes Fest beers too because he brews them.
yeah.
yeah. Zach 2 came from Bearded Iris. So like we blame all the hop all the hoppy
On Zach
beers.
2.
We come on Zach 2, yeah.
That makes
Nice.
perfect sense.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
But excuse me. First Oktoberfest year we only did the Fest beer because Zach was like, Märzen's old. Like everyone is Fest beer now. They don't even do Märzen in Germany anymore. You know, it's all Fest beer. And I was like, but Märzen's delicious. We should do it.
We
And
should
he's like,
still
I
do
don't
it."
know. So we did that. Second year is like, all right, we'll do a Märzen too. So we did both and the Helles as well. And those are just the beers that we really love to drink. And so like this is our favorite time of year. You get Oktoberfest style beers, you get a lot of good German lager, and then it's also hop harvest season. So you get all this like fresh and wet hop beer, and it's just like, I mean, what more can you ask for?
Exactly.
But on the consumer side, yeah, like if you look at our tap room sales right now, like first, best selling beer right now is Best Beer. Second one is like Märzen, and third one is, and it's just all of those beers are
Wow.
just crushing. You
Good.
know, like
Right.
So it
that's-
makes sense to brew those.
tis
then.
the season, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I always ask this question: when does it start and when does it end? What do you think?
So, Oktoberfest this year, I think, kicked off on like September 16th or something like that, middle of September ish. And then this Sunday is the last day of official Oktoberfest. And this is something that we have tinkered around with too, because it's like, yeah, ideally we just put our Oktoberfest beers out on the first day of Oktoberfest. And then like by middle
You're
of October,
done by
they're
the end of
gone.
October.
Yeah, they're gone.
Yeah.
But, you're making a full batch of beer.
You gotta sell through.
And generally, kind of once you're getting, if you wait that late to put it out there, then by the middle of October, like, oh my gosh, we got so December rolls around because at the end of October, people have moved on to other beers.
Right.
So
Winter
any
lagers
beer
and-
you
Right.
got,
Yeah,
Pumpkin
dark
beers
pumpkin
and-
it
stout.
just
Yeah.
hangs
Thank you.
around.
Yeah.
So you get here in December, and you're like, what are we gonna do with all this Märzen and Fest beer? So this year we shifted things up a little bit to launch everything at the start of September. So we're not like, there's a lot of breweries that are putting out these beers in July, which is crazy.
Oktoberfest pumpkin beers in July.
Yeah, it's crazy. But also from, the production side, I get it. Like it's the same reasoning. You have to get out ahead of the holiday because people are building anticipation for it and getting excited about it. And then once that holiday comes and goes, people are on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So you need to plan your production out where the sell through is done. So I get why people do it, but it's also hard not to roll your eyes every time you see like a pumpkin beer on the shelf in July and you're
Yeah.
like, what
Yeah.
are we doing here?
Why are we doing this?
I kind of equate it to the season of Christmas season. Like it seems like after 4th of July, you can go in some stores and already they're selling like Halloween candy
Mm-hmm.
and Christmas trees, and I'm like, is that the way Oktoberfest is becoming? Like it's a marketing thing where like, okay, got to move on. I mean,
Probably.
do you think it's becoming that way?
I mean, a little bit for sure. I mean, everything is definitely strategic, and you're wanting to get your beer out at its freshest and get it pulled through. And so, it's a little bit easier for us. We're a tiny brew. We're a 5-barrel system, and then the Helles we do 10 barrels of because that we'll keep that going for a little bit while longer. And Best Beer and Märzen we do 5 barrels of, so we can move through that pretty quickly with cans and draft, but. A lot of the other breweries in town are 15, 30, 60
Yeah.
barrel brew houses.
Lot
They're
more
making
capacity.
that much of that beer.
Yeah.
I know with the big brands, Sam Adams one it's the store shelf, the spacing on the grocery stores.
Yeah.
They want the stuff on the shelf. Kroger,
Before anybody else.
yeah,
too.
they're like I think Brian Guys said their biggest customer was Kroger.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
want it on the shelf, as soon as possible.
And so that's the thing. It's like can all like
Oh,
it's
sorry.
easy to gripe and get upset like, oh, why are these breweries putting it out there? It's like, well, it's because they're making X amount of it. There's always excitement leading up to and during a holiday, and then once that holiday is, everyone's doing Halloween stuff right now. Everyone's excited about Halloween.
Yeah.
But as soon as it's November 1st,
On to the next one.
no one cares about Halloween anymore.
It's
Now
Christmas.
either-
Right.
it's basically Christmas.
We go right into
Maybe
Christmas.
some people do Thanksgiving, but
Yeah.
basically it's
Yeah.
Christmas.
Uh-huh.
I think you're saying basically, you know who Scott Murdy is of National Brewing Company,
Yeah.
and we interviewed him at their brewery because we did a whole Oktoberfest thing with him, or Oktoberfest thing with him, and I think that he basically kind of coincided with that, with the pumpkin ales and things like that. That it's earlier and earlier because it's just what it.
Well, that's a
it
good
is,
pop.
man.
Did you hear that? I
Yeah.
hope the microphone got
Ultimately-
hot. Yeah, totally.
Ultimately,
I didn't expect
anyone brewing beer, they're one doing it because it's what they love to do, and they're brewing the beer they love. But also, like, it is a business, and so they're brewing what consumers want. Hopefully, if you're going to be a successful business, so if consumers are asking for and buying and wanting pumpkin beer in July, then
Pumpkin beer in
breweries
July.
are going to
That's
make
just-
pumpkin
Yep.
and sell pumpkin beer in July.
It's so wild to me to think that July for
Yeah.
Oktoberfest pumpkin beer, any of that. It's just
But
wild.
it is, like, as you guys are sitting here roasting in the sun in your black shirts, I know you both are yearning for the crisp days of fall and autumn to come. And, like, everyone kind of has that a little bit.
I'm
And
not
so-
mad. I'm not mad either way. We're
Good.
drinking a lot of good beer. By the way, what was the name of that series, Mitch? That you finished up pouring? The Yazoo Embrace the Funk. That second one was way different from the first one.
future nostalgia. What
There
was
was
that?
a, there was a
Sounds
little
right.
bit
Volume
more.
1 and 2.
There was a
Yeah.
little bit more like clove and lavender kind of
Yeah, it
flavor
was.
to that one than there was the first one. It was. I appreciate drinking both of those back
Yeah.
to back because they tasted like two different beers. to
Yeah,
me.
there's like a little rich, like almost like a little umami note to it. It's kind of
Yeah.
a little savory, rich, like.
You're speaking Mitch's language.
Oh,
now.
yes. yes.
So
Talk
speaking
more.
Yeah.
So Rich, you mentioned a little while ago about not liking sours. We just opened another one.
Brewery- Parker, do you have time for one more?
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
Hey,
I gotta kill my first
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Y'all
yeah,
are
no
all
hurry.
waiting on me now.
So we just opened a brewery. It's called Carla Loves Bradley. It's a blended sour blonde ale with Carla Rose and Bradley Nectarine. So
and in
That's a
in
hilarious
fairness, like
beer name.
Brewery makes killer
Yeah.
sours.
this was actually bottled in 2021. We had a discussion.
Is this
about
the one you were
other
mentioning the other day through
Uh-huh.
the chat? Okay.
I was like, it's bottled in 2021. Is that going to be okay? I feel like it's going to be okay.
This
I feel
Main
like it's
Street
gonna be okay.
From Main Street.
Main
So
Street.
the conversation, Parker, the other day was Scott jumped on our Instagram and goes, "Hey, just curious." He goes,
Thank you.
"What do you guys think about like sours that have been around for what, like bottled for 3 or 4
Yeah.
years, cellared or whatever?" And he was like, "It's this percent ABV and whatever." And I was like, I didn't even know which kind it was. We didn't know what it was. He goes, "I picked it up at Main Street," and Mitchell agreed with me on this. I was like,
Mhm.
one, if it's Aaron at Main Street, I was like, that dude knows his
For
codes.
sure.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I've seen him turn away IPAs because the code was like 15 days beyond the best sell by date from distributors. He was like, nope, send it back. I want the fresh
Yeah.
stuff. So if you're getting it at Main Street and you're able to buy it at Main Street still, it's probably going to be good. I didn't know it was a Brewery beer, which are known for cellaring
Yes.
beers before you drink them anyway.
This is
Yeah.
literally almost bottled 4 years ago, 10,
Yeah.
20,
Yeah.
21. So
And I'll say, yeah, shout out to Aaron. I worked with him at Craft Brewed back in the
Nice.
day before he was at Main Street. And
Yeah.
Aaron's the man. He always, we don't distribute a lot of our cans just because we're so small.
You're a
We
smaller
don't
brewery, yeah.
do a lot of cans. But Aaron's always texting me like, hey, what can's can I get from you? I'll take whatever he's always trying to get some. And so Aaron's got a killer beer selection over at Main
And
Street.
Aaron blows up Fait La Force
Dude.
whenever he gets like whenever he can get, he was like, hey, because I remember you guys did. I mean, you just dropped cans recently.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's been under a year, probably under 6 months.
Yeah, first can drop was in March for
March?
anniversary.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. So, and he was like, hey, got Fait La Force in cans. He put it on Nashville Beer Geeks. He put
Dude,
it on
yeah, he
Craft Beer
did.
Social Club. He blew it up on Facebook, and people were like, wait, what?
yeah, how did they get? Yeah,
And,
Yeah.
and he was gone. Like it was gone. I knew there were some people. It was 2 days later. He went there and he was like, "Nope, I don't have anything else for you." Fait La Force is gone.
cleaned
Somehow
out. Yeah,
that river is a real dividing line, and it's like, getting over here or getting over there. It's like, I'm gonna cross the river.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know,
I'll
might as
say
well be
this:
going
this
upstate,
definitely puts the S in sour. That's for sure.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
like,
it really does.
like you guys referred to, the Brewery
Oh,
is
yeah.
killing it on this stuff.
It is a
God.
sour of the sours.
It makes my
Whoa.
gums sweat.
Yeah, even the smelling, it's definitely it makes my nose tingle.
Yeah.
There's acidity to it.
I didn't smell that one first.
but it's
nice.
a very enjoyable sour.
His nose is tingling over here.
It's only 6.5%, so it won't kill you, but it is sour.
But this
Sour
beer
senses are
probably
tingling.
hasn't lost any of its flavor in the 3 or 4
I'm gonna
years
guess
that
not.
it's been bottled.
I'm gonna guess
It's
not.
it's got loads of flavor. It's really good. Shout out to Brewery.
Yeah, the fact that it's a sour probably helps that it's 4 years old.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, I'm similar in like, not all sour beers are my cup of tea, especially if they're like wildly sweet milkshake sour kind of thing, and then even some wild sours can be like
They're
a
funky,
little
man.
over the top.
Yeah.
There's
Mitch?
something about stone fruit sours where it's like nectarine or peach or something. Like the acidity with that peach nectarine kind of flavor going on with that acidity is. I think there's something like nostalgic or something to maybe like Warheads or something. I don't know. but like,
yeah.
Or just like peach ring kind of candy.
Mhm.
And the
Man, it's so
ingredients
good.
are legitimate. Like they're the real ingredients, not flavoring, is none of that stuff. It's real.
I love Southern Grist, but we went to a Southern Grist takeover with Zool not long ago, and I'm like, yeah, these are ones you probably want to have like on a flight.
It was their snow cone day where they had all their melted
Yeah,
snow cones
man.
out at
Southern,
once.
yeah, Southern Grist and Zool, like those guys have, and 450 also, because 450 does like their, what do you call it? Their sour series or whatever it is, or their slushy series, and they're kind of more, I guess, more like fruited, like slushy sours. But when I've seen breweries lean into those kind of sours, and they lean into that style, and I just. It goes back to your question, which I don't think Parker ever answered, but like, what were you getting on a flight versus like a draft versus a 4-pack?
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm drinking 16 ounces or even 2 or 3 beers back to back of something that heavy and sweet.
For sure.
I'm enjoying that in like a 10-ounce pour, or maybe even like a flight. I'm doing something like that. And I want to try multiple, but I don't think that I'm drinking those all day, especially not in 90-degree weather when the sun's beating down on me.
Even as good as that Zool PBJ mixtape is, I'm good for one.
Man,
No, I'll give you
they have their place.
I'll give you a
Yes,
perfect
I love 'em.
example. So a while back, Marble Fox did their peanut butter and jelly.
No crust?
No crust.
Yeah, no crust.
And I got it, and then it was like a 16-ounce can, and I'm sitting on my porch of my house, and I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After about 12
I mean,
ounces, you're like,
it's good, but I'm like 16 ounces of this.
Well, it's coming up on cooler season now.
That's,
So maybe it's
I
not
mean,
for
I
that.
tried the
I don't know.
Zool mixtape for the first time at the First Tennessee Park
Yeah.
Beer
good.
Fest, and I mean, I have a 4-ounce cup. I got a 3-ounce pour of it, and I drank half of it, and I was like, I get it. I mean, this is a wild. I mean, it's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's pretty cool. I mean, I really thoroughly enjoyed my 2 ounces of it, and that's all I need of it. Like
You're not eating
great.
multiple sandwiches
Yeah,
back to back,
no.
just like you're not drinking
Like,
the same
this is
beer
good.
back to back,
Would
all that kind of stuff.
would you stand in line at Zool for 2 hours to get it?
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, different strokes for different folks, kind of thing. For me, like, I mean, I'm a boring beer drinker. I like lagers, I like pilsners, I like saison, I like Märzen,
Okay.
and some hoppy stuff sometimes.
Okay. Question: what does Parker drink when he goes home at night?
When I go home at night, I mean, like, if you go in our fridge right now, there's Narragansett lager.
Okay.
And probably some High Life, and then there's probably some Fait La Force, lager and saison. Like our Mornings of Gold Premium Pale Lager, great. Nefarious Fellow Belgian Pilsner, love it. And then if I want to get crazy, and do like our West Coast Pilsner, a little hoppiness to it, like the majority of beers, I would say 95% of the beers I drink are 6% ABV or under. I'm usually just drinking some lager, pilsner, saison.
That sounds like you, Mitch.
super boring.
Yeah,
Beer flavored beer.
I've
Yeah.
leaned into it this past year and a half, 2 years, and I really enjoy the little High Life ponies.
They're a good time, man.
How big
They're
are those
great. Good
cans?
time.
How
Yeah.
big are those cans?
You ought to
4 ounces? I don't know.
Okay.
They're small,
Wow.
man.
All right.
They're
Yeah,
small.
I mean,
you ought to do a podcast on just that. Just
No, I think it's a great point because when we did the brew hop tour about a week ago, we went to a couple of places, and one of them we went to was Tennessee Brew Works, and we got their fancy sour. And I said, it's good. Would I have it on a 6-pack? Probably not. Would I have it on a pint? Maybe. But I'm probably going to enjoy it more on a flight.
On a flight.
And there's nothing bad about that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
every
You know.
beer, has its place.
And it's
its
all
time,
subjective
and
too. I mean, we know some people that just love sours. Like every beer has to be a sour. I don't.
That's my mom and my sister.
Yeah,
They,
yeah.
Oh
they come
man,
in here and they're like, so when are you going to do another? Like,
That's
we
not
did
me.
the Berliner Weiss in the past, and that's like, they would just kill that beer.
Yeah.
And that's, so when are you going to do that beer again? I'm like, well, you guys drink a ton of it. No one else
No
would.
one else
So,
drank it. So are you guys? So what's the plan? Like, is there a plan to do more sours? Are you guys gonna kind of stick to more of the drier side, non-sour style beers? Like, what's your?
Sours for us, like the only sour we can really do the way we would want to do it here is a Berliner Weiss, and we've done that in the past. It definitely has the people who like they come in. That's the only beer they want to drink. They
Sure.
want to drink that one all the time. And then kind of everyone else sort of ignores it. It's like this kind of over this, and it hangs around forever. So at the stage we're at right now, we're probably not doing much more sours. We may do like another Berliner Weiss or a Goza or something like that, but not much more. Hopefully, if we get past election year and business picks back up and we have the opportunity to grow a little bit and get some more space, then we can start doing some barrel-aged sours, and we would probably be doing some more stuff kind of like, we're never going to be doing it to the extent that Brewery is doing it, but it would be a fun, like, extra side project to do some more funky, wild sour stuff as well. So we'll see.
there was a random memory just popped up on Saison stuff. It just came out of left field, but there was a Memphis brewery years ago, and I have no idea how many years ago, but at this point I'll just say a decade. But it was High Cotton Brewing in Memphis. And I got to taste, and I'm not a brewer, so I'm going to mess this up a little bit, but I got to taste a beer early, and they were putting in loads of black pepper into it, and it was such a delicious thing, even off, it wasn't ready yet, so I don't remember exactly what part of that process, but it was something that really stuck out in my mind, where I'm really a big fan of apparently just really pepper forward Saison stuff, and that was kind of like my first bridge into Saisons in general. So it's just got a
Were they adding
memory.
pepper into it, or were
Yeah.
they fermenting to like
It
draw
was,
out
it was
that?
peppery.
yeah.
I remember you brought it. It was a black. It was called. I think it was just called a black pepper saison.
Okay, because I did go and get a growler of
You
it.
brought
when,
it back for me to try it with you.
when
yeah.
growlers were a thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of saison yeast, depending on how
Little
you
growlers.
ferment and what temperatures, can like get super phenolic and
Ooh.
peppery. And our saison definitely has a little bit of that kind of like white pepper note to it on the finish. It's like a little bit more. I mean, that's ultimately everything we do is like very. I mean, like I said, kind of boring and straight in the middle and balanced. Like when you drink our beers, you're never going to be like, oh, there's so much of
Yeah.
this. It's always kind of like, oh, I get some of this and I get some of that and I get a little bit of this, and it's like, is it the most exciting thing?
Well,
Maybe not, but it's
I
delicious.
don't know. Yeah,
think.
well, the balance is important,
yes.
but this one was not balanced. It was just lots of black
Mhm.
pepper, but it was really good too. So I don't know
They
what
can
else
be
they
fun,
did.
too,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
Those are, I mean, I say like what I drink most of the time is lager, pilsner, saison, a lot of Tank 7, Boulevard. Start distributing back to Nashville again. But I have like the beer cellar that I've got a lot of Embrace the Funk stuff in it. I got a lot of Brewery stuff in it, and then a lot of beer from just travel. Like, of course, I brought a lot of beer back from Belgium with me, but I've also got some big stouts, and really like early in my craft beer journey, like Goose Island Bourbon County was
Yeah.
like the
Ooh,
biggest
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And so I've got
Scott.
Goose Island Bourbon County from like 2016 on till now. Yeah.
Wish for something else, because I might have that
Yeah.
too.
I mean, literally, I think it's like I have every one from either 2015 or 2016 to
Nice.
on now that like that's kind of the one beer I was like, all right, I don't drink a lot of this anymore, but it is something that was like important to me along the way on my beer journey, and so I still think it's fun to go back and drink those beers. And yeah, I'm not gonna open that beer at home by myself and drink it, but when we're sitting around like this, I'll open it up and share it with 5 friends.
That's what
Totally.
it's for.
Totally.
It's to
Yeah.
be shared. Absolutely.
That's a big thing in craft beer, in my opinion. I have a lot of beers that I'm not going to just drink by myself.
Well,
I
like,
can't.
these bottles were bought for that, and the Bourbon County I'm hanging on to for a reason to share them.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to pour this one for him too.
Which one was this one
This
again?
is the Ozark Premier.
Tart Wild Ale with Tennessee Grain and Tennessee Ozark Premium Plums. So
Some
we
more
went from
stone
nectarines.
Did anybody bring Rolaids?
Whoa.
Just
We're
out of
on a stone
curiosity.
fruit journey
I just
here.
turned 40 recently, and like heartburn is a bitch nowadays.
Uh-oh.
So what's
And
your?
sours are definitely going to give it to me.
You're gonna love. This is gonna be your new favorite style now.
I don't know,
sours.
man. I don't know. I love
Mm.
everything Brewery does, though. So
They are good sours. That
Yeah,
is a
I'll
good
tell you, if you
sour.
put stone fruit in a sour,
Mm.
you probably got me on board for it. For
that
sure.
one was less. That one was less of a kick to the back of my mouth than the first one was, and I don't know if it's because I drank that one.
You
first
might have got
and-
primed with the first
Yeah, it
one.
could have been that.
Getting
It could have
primed.
been that, but that's definitely a good one too.
Matter of fact, this one was bottled 11/24/20, so it's actually a year older,
Okay,
more than a year older than
that's a
the last one.
2021.
This is a 2020, bottled in 2020.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of a nice mild sourness, and I don't know if that's due to age or not.
It's really good, 6.8%, really nice spot ABV
Yeah.
wise.
I would call this a very smooth
Yeah.
sour.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to Main Street Liquor. These were $11.99, and they had they got a whole rack full of them.
Oh,
Of
Aaron,
different
man.
ones there.
They have a sale going on there.
Yeah, they had a whole rack of them, and maybe because of the age, but I think they're perfectly fine.
No, I mean that's super delicious. I
Yeah.
feel like I get a similar like perceived acidity to it, but that plum kind of like
Mm-hmm.
fruitiness goes along with it nicely. So it's very good.
I think a little sediment maybe might be the only thing, but there's no issue. I don't have any issue with
Also,
that.
there's some bottle conditioning.
Yeah.
Bottle conditioning for 4 years. If you doesn't have a little sediment in it, then I'd honestly be skeptical of
Right?
it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it might be vinegar at that point.
Yeah.
This is not vinegar. This is fantastic.
Wow.
So
This
Parker,
is lovely.
last question on my end for you, because I know you're busy. I know you got a lot going on too, but I want to be respectful of your time. But I'm genuinely interested in like what's all of us here at the table are genuinely interested in like what's inside your head and what's inside like Zach 1's head and Zach 2's head. We shouldn't call them that. Probably shouldn't call them that. It's just
We won't tell them which
it's
one's
like,
which.
no,
you
we
know?
won't.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Right.
yeah, because it's not obvious at all
Yeah.
whatsoever. Kind of going back around to like the beginning of the conversation when we were talking about from when you guys opened to living through all of these different stages of the world economy, from opening up and then getting hit with COVID and social distancing and dealing with the whole letting people know you guys are out there in a different world, because I think we'll all agree that prior to 20, like it's a different world nowadays. Everything is different now than what it used to be. In the future, as you're continuing to work through this horse that is the new world, the new economy post COVID, you know, when inflation is starting to die down, but it's still more expensive than what it was years ago. How do you see yourself? How's the word I want? How do you see yourself dealing with the consumer that now has the same or less amount of money than they used to have? Because it's definitely impacting. You mentioned you're seeing those graphs start to kind of divert, like they're converging a little bit. How do you see yourselves having to market to the consumer now versus how it was when you first opened?
Yeah. For us, we're a little unique. So we're super tiny. So predominantly, you know, we're tap room sales driven. You know, if we were really maxing out how busy we could be in this tap room, like we'd probably be selling all of our beer through our tap room. So we definitely have a very different business model than a lot of other breweries do. And we're also in a neighborhood that is growing, huge. Like you can't see it, but just on the other side of this hill here, there's a massive apartment condo complex that should be starting to lease into this year, early next year.
All right.
On the other side of these railroad tracks right here, there's 3 major units that just come online and one more that we're pouring at their grand opening in a week or two. So this neighborhood is exploding with residential. There's also a huge business complex opening up. And then, we're less than a mile from the soccer stadium. And that whole area is developing with more retail, more businesses, apartments. So
Good news then.
we are like,
Yeah, wasn't expecting this direction. That was
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
So-
great.
well, we're pretty optimistic. I know, like looking at just from the bigger economic standpoint, yes, craft beer is down, but everything is cyclical. So, craft beer was in the slow little growth pattern, and then around 2012, it sort of like really
Hockey
started
stick
ramping up,
up.
and by 2015 it was just like straight up, and then COVID just like slammed the brakes. Like it was already starting to crest before the COVID, but COVID was just like
Stopped it.
pulled the e-brake on it and just skid it to a stop. And then, you know, things have kind of recovered since then, but now we're in this growth, like period of kind of flat, maybe a little dip, but there's already kind of signs that things are starting to recover.
Good.
You know, this year will probably be the first year, you know, maybe like if you throw out COVID year is kind of an exception. That's an anomaly. But if COVID hadn't happened, this year is kind of the first year we'd seen less or more breweries closing than opening since, you know, probably like Prohibition. You know, it's been a long time since that happened. So there's definitely a correction happening, but we've already kind of seen inflation is leveled off. Now, like, yeah, things are more expensive, and it's going to take time for earnings to catch up to where inflation has got. But things are kind of like the economy stabilizing, rates are starting to come back down, and then once you get past an election, regardless of who wins, people are like, okay, we know what
Breathe
we
a
got.
little bit,
We
right?
know what we got, and
Exactly.
whatever's going to happen is going to happen, but we've got 4 years of at least knowing what we got.
It's weird how that happens.
Do you?
Hey,
We have a celebrity in the house.
What's up, y'all?
Michelle.
hello. Michelle and Eric.
Yeah.
Hey, man, congratulations on your marriage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
And happy birthday. Yeah, there we go.
Hey.
Also, go
Happy
Preds.
birthday, Eric. Yeah.
So, economy, I think going into next year is gonna find a bottom, and we'll start kind of coming out of that. Our neighborhood in particular is really gonna start growing again.
You're positioned for growth, it looks
We've
like.
added in the sandwich shop, and we're focusing more on like lunch and like having people to come and eat here. So
Nice.
we've positioned ourselves knowing, or at least hoping, that this year might be hard. I think next year is going to start off slow, but I think as we get through the spring and summer and fall, things should be picking back up.
Good. Hell yeah.
And so we're doing a lot of things to, keep this place as a good neighborhood focused spot. And as our neighborhood grows, hopefully that means we can grow with it. And then, like I said, we're able to do a little bit different things with our beer lineup now, so we can still keep doing Belgian European styles, but add a little bit more hoppiness to it to expand our market a little bit. And being at the size that we're in, like that we're at, and not being like, a lot of breweries right before COVID, leading into COVID, started like really leveraging themselves to add in more production and grow and expand. And they've kind of got caught now when everything's slowed down. We're at a spot where we're still really easy and flexible and movable. So I'm pretty optimistic, at least for us, that going into next year, we're going to be in a really good position to like hit the ground running and really kind of take off with it. Could be wrong, maybe it was World War III and, everything goes sideways. And who can say after trying to open and COVID hitting, everything is on the table of what possibilities are. But I'm pretty optimistic. And I think craft beer palates and experience are changing. I think we've all kind of like gone through our own craft beer journeys where you get introduced, maybe like your first IPA or Sweetwater, New Belgium, or Sierra Nevada, or whatever your intro is. And then you start exploring all the wild world of flavors. And then, I think most people are kind of coming back to like, man, Pilsners are delicious. Like, let's just sit around. And that's
Right.
I'm on.
Yeah.
That's Mitch.
He's a Pilsner guy.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of where we're positioned. And, so I think we're set up well for success. Zach and now New Zach, I think those guys are
New Zach.
like
That's way better.
freaking killing it. Like every beer they make, I'm like, man,
Yeah.
these guys are crushing. And that's why, I went into business with Zach originally. Is I was making beer, but I tried his beer and I was like, whoa. I was like, this is something
let's
else.
do that thing.
So, I think those guys are putting out an amazing product. Zach is always staying on top of what trends are happening in the beer world and what new things are coming out, which is why we got to do that fresh hop Amarillo beer. That's a brand new product that he was just on top of, got us in. And so, I don't even know if there'll be anyone else in the city who does that style of beer this year, but we had the ability to do it. So I got a lot of faith in him. I think Tyler at Jambox is making amazing food, and I think this neighborhood is growing. And I think hopefully we all feel like we got a little bit more money in our pockets next year as inflation calms down and hopefully wages come up. So
Man.
I'm optimistic.
Yeah. let's stay that way.
That's a good. That's a good. Like, yeah. Go ahead, Mitch.
No, I didn't. No, I'm waiting.
Okay.
I'm waiting.
Are you a whiskey or bourbon guy, or both? Or
So I love all spirits. I would classify myself honestly more as like an Amaro guy. I love
Okay.
Amaro and bitters, and that's like
Yes.
my thing.
Yeah.
But I definitely drink my fair share of whiskey and bourbon and gin and tequila and whatever other spirits you might happen to have on you at a given moment.
I do want to say this. Let's hear
Yeah.
it to Fait La Force.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Cheers,
cheers,
guys.
absolutely, and thanks for having us here.
I don't have
this is
anything left
great.
right now, but
Oh, cheers
you know.
anyways.
Yes.
Well, the reason I ask about the whiskey is, I don't know, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, there was a bourbon. Like bourbon went away. Right? It's because of all the other stuff, the flavored vodkas and all this cheap stuff, the seltzers that people were drinking, and bourbon almost went away in a lot of cases. Now there's a sudden boom, and I'm kind of, to me, there's some similarities there. We're drinking cheaper stuff, or people are drinking cheaper stuff and getting away from craft beer. But I feel like once it settles out, it'll be there, and all that other stuff is going to go away. The cheap stuff that
It's all cyclical.
It'll
I mean,
stand the test of time.
if you go back and look back, there was the Zima and wine spritzer phase that came
I do
and
like
went,
Zima.
and we've got
Zima.
the
Love
seltzer
Zima.
freight. Like seltzers exploded, but we're already seeing that kind of slow
Right,
down.
right.
Now we have all these other things that are happening, and over thousands of years, things come and go, but Pilsner and lager and beer flavored beers are always there.
it's
Like,
the
Oh,
reason
okay.
they've survived. this
Absolutely
long.
love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely love it.
I've got one thing that's kind of in the scene right now, if we're interested.
Mhm.
But it's also a beer flavored beer with a friend.
Where's he going with this?
Uh-oh, he's got something up his sleeve.
I've got a
Oh, stop. Is
I've
it
got a
cold?
I mean, I'm a Cardinals
Is
fan,
it cold?
so, I don't like,
Hey, whoa, what? Who
Yeah.
said that?
What?
Was that you?
Yeah.
If you don't like that, I've got Lone Star.
I mean, these are amazing.
Go
But,
Cubs.
oh,
Really?
man.
Oh,
What-
man.
We're going
This
to find
is
our
a
friend
tough-
Tom.
I'm going
Sorry
to still
for
buy
us, but-
Parker's beer.
What apparently is also in fashion with a lot of Chicagoans is the
Oh.
Malort.
Look at this.
Oh, my
I
God.
mean,
What are you-
listen,
What is he
everyone
doing?
loves to hate on Malort. I don't hate Malort. I mean,
I
I've got a bottle of
don't
Malort at
either.
home. Yeah,
I don't-
think it's so bad.
Malort's a rite of passage.
That's
but
why I don't know
know
what that is.
anybody that thinks it tastes good.
I swear I
I'm
don't
not
know
going
what
to
that
say
is.
I'm going to go have a glass of Malort at home. But I think it was before I had tried it. It had been presented to me as this most egregious, atrocious abomination of a liquid you can put into your mouth.
Right.
Yes.
I tasted it and I was like, I don't hate that.
Okay, so your expectations were already like based on other people's
Exactly.
thoughts. Going, oh, you don't want to drink
Yeah,
this, you
this
don't
is
want
the
to
worst
drink
thing you're
that.
ever going to have. And then I tried it and I was like, that is not even close to the worst thing I've
It's
ever
like
had.
the third worst thing you've ever
Yeah.
had.
But like I said, I'm an Amaro bitters guy, so I love herbal, bitter, astringent. Underberg and
You've got in
Jaeger,
the
Fernet.
brewery, by the way. I see you've got
We got
Underberg there for
Underberg.
sale.
Gotta have
the
Underberg.
shots.
yeah, we were I think the first in the city to have Underberg because I was like, I don't know why anyone else is doing this, but they should be doing it. And now we've got Fernet too, and I would love to do like an Amaro of the month kind of thing. That's something we've talked about. I don't know if anyone else cares about Amaro as much as like me and my wife care about Amaro. Is the only
Ooh.
problem. We would just buy it for ourselves and drink it.
I don't know.
But Amaro is delicious. If you haven't gotten into the Amaro world, dude, tread with caution because it's a slippery slope, but it's a fun ride.
We're at the point now where I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. We're just Tom's
Let's
sitting
see
over here. I
here.
figured we'd invite Tom in. He actually had a question earlier too, and I figured we'll give him a microphone. And
We got
Come on, Tom.
We got on
You got
Cardinals and
this.
Cubs talking, and the Yankees guy
yeah,
pops
so
over here.
we got a
He's
couple
like,
of Yankees
oh,
fans
yeah,
right
the
here.
postseason.
Ooh, this mic's hot.
Tom Schumacher, I know.
A
Well, when-
literal hot mic.
Well, when I saw the old style get busted, I was like, Tom Schumacher came to mind immediately. Just that, just those old world beers.
So I guess it's a question more for you, Parker, being a craft brewery. So I don't
I
want
just
to
can't
be
let you stop
all
laughing at Mitch over here with his microphone held by the cooler bag.
Yeah, dude, this was sitting on the table.
the mic's kind of warm, actually.
Yeah.
With the younger generation being more into like liquor, cocktails, mocktails, seltzers, how do you guys combat that with the new demographic changing? I know you have some NA stuff and kombucha on tap. Where do you see breweries going with that in the future? Or do you think it's just a trend that eventually go back to beer will become the more dominant that it's always been, basically?
I think that's the same question that everyone's asking right now, honestly. I mean, that's an interesting question because younger generations really are just drinking less in general. It's not even
Yeah.
that they're drinking spirits or different alcohols, that they're just drinking less alcohol. And a lot, like what we're seeing a lot is that they're drinking, well, we have a huge banner right here. That's THC seltzer. They're definitely more THC focused in weed. And, you know, I have listened to so many podcasts and read so many things and had so many discussions about what are you doing? And so one of the things also in the article I was reading before I came out here is that right now brewery production is only at like being 51% utilized right now. So basically, of all the production that's available to make beer in the country, only 51% of it is being used. So everyone's having this question of like, well, what do we do with it? And like, we don't want our equipment just sitting here idle. You know, so people are either doing seltzers or hop water, or, you know, trying to figure out NA or trying to figure out THC or trying to figure out different avenues. But I've also heard a lot of breweries who have already went down that path and then realized we're a brewery. What we have to contribute to our community is our beer and our knowledge of beer. And that's the product that we know and are knowledgeable about and proud of. And they've kind of come full circle and just decided, you know, we tried that thing and some people bought it, but like, I think if we focus in on what we do well, that will, you know, help us in the test of time in the long run. So I think in the short term, you know, everyone's kind of trying different things just to stem the tide a little bit. But I think the breweries that will ultimately have success and stand the test of time are ones that kind of dig deeper into what it is that they do. So, I mean, it's an unfortunate part of the times we're in right now. Like, there's already been a lot of brewery closures, and there's going to be more, and there's going to be, you know, beer bar closures as well as other bars and restaurants. Like, that's happening. But I think once that all settles out and shakes out and we kind of hit the bottom and start growing again, the ones that are going to stick around are going to be the ones that have really figured out what it is they have to contribute, what it is that they do well, and put their emphasis and weight into that thing, even if in the short term it's hard and maybe not is the popular cool thing to be doing. But I think in the long run, that's only going to serve you well. And so that's kind of what we are focused on. We do have, you know, we know what we do, and that's, you know, beer and the specific styles of beer that we do. But, you know, behind the bar, we've got spirits, we've got wine, we've got cider from Diskin down the road. You know, we have options available. So if you come in and you're not into beer, we have something available for you. We're not going to make it because we know we can't do cider as well as Diskin, and we can't do kombucha as well as Walker Brothers. And, you know, we let people, we try and find partners who do what they do well, highlight their products, and try and work with partners who feel the same way. So,
ultimately have something for everyone that comes in, whether you make it or not.
And then like we try and put our product out, like Fox Bar in East Nashville is a cocktail bar, I think doing some of the best cocktails in the city.
Very
nice.
They picked up our Saison, you know, as the beer that they serve there. Like, they don't serve a lot of beer because they're a cocktail place, but they're trying to highlight companies that do what they do well, and that's kind of the same approach that we're taking.
I think that's very smart. You guys are just sticking to what you know. I think a lot of companies see the trends and try to do these things, but they're going to half-ass it. We're not doing it as well, so the product won't be as good. I think that's an issue, and it's smart for you guys. So you know what? We do these Belgian beers. We do these styles real well. Let's keep to that so you have a successful business model going forward. Here's a question for all of you guys. I heard you guys talking about craft brewed earlier, which was just a staple and for everyone.
Oh, yeah.
With that closing, and you guys talk about Main Street, but it's harder and harder to find new craft beer now because the stores are closing. You get cans or bottles, and with less people out of state kegging and sending it out, is there a fear that the craft brew will be harder to find newer beers to keep the momentum that was going from 2015 through COVID, where now it's almost, it feels like it could be stymied a little bit because you're starting to see at draft places, everyone has the same beers on tap. So it's like, why would I go here? I can go closer to me, or I won't go out as much because it's the same beers every time, like something new. I don't want to spend $8 for a beer I've had before. What do you guys see is happening? Is there be any changes with that, or is it just we need to go with it and it's times are changing in a way?
I mean, I can say from my experience, I think this is another big trend in the like, at least in the production side, is in the craft beer boom, everyone is barely new into it and trying to explore all these different flavors, and everyone's kind of chasing different things. But I think there's been some fatigue in that side of things, and people have kind of realized, like, I know what I like now, and I know what I'm going to get, and I'll try other things. But I honestly, like, especially when your money is tighter, it's harder to risk spending that money on something that may not be good. And so that, like, wild world of, like, I'll just explore and try everything is kind of constricted a bit. And so then you see breweries start to get more focused in on what they know that they do well. And so I think that cycle will kind of come around too, as breweries start, maybe producing less experimental styles and shipping more out there. Then consumers will, kind of start getting bored with the same things, and then it'll open up that space for more unique stuff again. And it'll always kind of go around and around like that. And I think we're kind of in that phase where, there's not as there definitely isn't as much variety and option out there. But on the other side, there's a lot more breweries in at least our city, and in most cities, I think probably there's a lot more breweries now who do that variety. So you may not see as much coming in from across the country, but you probably got more in your hometown making those unique styles that you can kind of seek out and find. So
I drink beer that way, as Tom described. I like going somewhere, whatever's new first. That's what I'm getting. As good as whatever else I had, I'm getting the new thing first. And those places are drying up. It's like a craft brewed. And then to go to like a Main Street or Cool Springs Wine and Spirit or Reds to buy cans to take home, those are kind of the best spots in town to find new stuff. Or when Grizz releases something on a Friday, I can swoop by and grab a new Tang, something. But
yeah, definitely. If craft brewed was still pumping out sales, they wouldn't be doing as well right now.
Right.
But I still really seek out mixed packs. I'm always interested in something new, especially with a familiar or new brewery that's either new to distro or new opening. So, it's a mixed bag for me, but that's just me.
When you walk through and you look at the Sam Adams mixed pack, is there one in there that I haven't had? I've had all of them. The Plaid. Okay, but now I can get the case because there's one new one in there.
I think that's one of the, flights are debated. Some people are flight guys, others aren't. Half tours here. For me, I'm like, I want to try things. So
I think there's
a lot of it.
I think there's two different groups of craft beer drinkers that what I've seen recently. There's the tried and true people, right, where they go, oh, this is what I'm drinking because I like this. I know it's good. It hasn't changed. They're the ones that can tell when a recipe has changed something because they've been drinking the same thing for years. There's those guys that when you come out with a new IPA, you're not going to change their mind. They're just going to drink this no matter what. I think there's that. Yeah. And then there's the untapped group as well that they originally start out going, oh, it's a new badge, or if I can get New Brew Thursday or whatever. Like there's that. And untapped is a whole conversation in and of itself. Yeah, but based on I always love asking that question. Yeah.
But brewers do not like untapped.
Brewers do not like untapped.
That is correct.
Too hoppy for an IPA. But
I don't like IPAs.
But there's also that second group of people that are, and I know a lot of them. It's I've already had that before. I want to try something new. And it depends on who you are. Yeah, I think those are the two groups that I see mostly.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense. Like, we're a small brewery, so we have flexibility to brew a lot of different styles, and so we would like to do more of that. But it is definitely a thing that kind of goes hand in hand with the economy. Like, if you don't have as much money to spend and you aren't going out as often and you aren't drinking as much, when you do get the chance to, like, a lot of times you may want to be like, I want to make sure this is a guaranteed good time and not betting it on a beer that
you haven't had before.
I haven't had, and it might be a risk, and I might buy this beer and be like, I regret buying this beer, So
exactly,
it definitely makes sense, and I can see why consumers might be more hesitant to explore and try a new thing, and ultimately, being 2.5 years old, everything we make is new. So I can definitely understand why someone's like, listen, I've been drinking Black Abbey Rose for 10 years, and I'm gonna keep drinking Black Abbey Rose, But I'm glad to hear that you guys are still excited about exploring and trying.
Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure. Like I just feel like that's because that's the way I drink beer. Everybody should drink beer that way. When I see someone walking out of Kroger with a case of Coors Light, I'm like, Dude, there's so much. And I know you look at
Don't
me.
hate on the
See?
domestic. Miller Lite holds a spot. It's still good for football
See,
games and tailgating.
I knew he was
I
going
mean,
to say.
I'll
I'm
tell
not
you, this
crushing
Lone
A
Star
stars
right
right
now
now.
Star,
is-
man.
Would take
yeah,
this
I mean,
microphone away from him.
Over on the TV over here,
There's a-
Texas,
there's
Texas A&M Ags are handling business. So I felt like this Lone Star Texas Life felt appropriate, in honor of them. Gig 'em. Shout
There
out
you
to
go.
Justin and Jared, my cousin, and
Time
some
and
of our old
place.
bartenders here.
Absolutely.
Of all the beer I thought I wouldn't drink today, this is probably top of the list.
Old style. Old style.
Old
Can't
style,
be any worse
baby.
than the Malort we just had. Holy crap.
Yes, you're
Oh,
welcome.
You already got in on the
Midwest
I
people,
don't even.
man.
I didn't even know what Malort
I
was.
was over here hanging
Rite of
waiting on
passage.
the Malort.
Yeah,
It is a rite of passage.
So typically,
Is this what I have in my glass here? I haven't had it yet.
yeah, it's
Okay.
Malort.
I was about to take a sip, but I wasn't.
You
I
got
do people sip Malort? I thought I was waiting on all y'all.
It's
for
like
a
your
while.
first shot at
Yeah, you
21.
take it to the dome.
To
That's
throw
what
it
you
down.
do.
I think
And
you
then-
do this, Rich. I think you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're supposed to shoot the Malort, and then the handshake is old style or an economy beer if you got it, and that's the chaser. For
Yep.
it. So I think I might have heavy poured a little bit on the Malort, so enjoy that. But
Yeah, I would say so.
It definitely needs a chaser.
It definitely
it
does.
definitely needs a chase.
I think so. I think right now the plan is let's go ahead and die down here. Turn off the mics. We can keep
Sure.
drinking for people who want to
Yeah.
keep going. Parker, you've been a big sport, man.
Yeah.
We
Thank you
appreciate
guys.
it.
I appreciate y'all coming
Yep.
out here.
This was something that we hit him up earlier on in the week or late the week before, and we were like, hey, we're just looking for a place. And Parker was just immediately like, what do you guys need? Where you want to set up? I'll make sure there's space for you guys.
Yeah.
So
And to join us this long too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So on top of
this is
being
cool.
a great brewery and putting out a lot of craft beer, we can't thank you enough for sitting down with us today
Well,
and
thank you
going through
guys.
this journey with
You guys
us.
are the
So
best.
I'm gonna share some of this sake after.
yes,
Be sure to try a little bit of it. It's a Junmai Namazune Ginshu. So I hope I pronounced that right for anyone. who's more
I don't know
fluent
what
than
any
me,
of those
but-
words supposed to be.
Is it anything like Malort?
No, it's way better. It's way better. It's way better. But I speak third best Japanese. So talk to me
best.
after the show.
That's right. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Cheers.
guys. Strength and unity. Fait La Force.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
Cheers.
This is awesome. This
Love
is
it.
Fucking awesome. We're allowed to swear on this thing, right?
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yes.
We're totally fucking
Brewery
swearing.
Underground podcast, Foamy Heads, hanging
Foamy
out
Heads.
today. Fait La Force, Nashville, Tennessee. Now it's hot as fuck. It was
are-
good in the morning. I'm sweating
must
like
be.
hell. So
hey, real
we'll see
quick,
you guys on the next
This is-
one.
and real quick,
This man's some
where do
water.
we find you guys? Because we always end like where we can find us.
At the Foamy Heads, Instagram, Facebook. That's what we are. Foamyheads.com.
Yeah, we started YouTube half-assed, so we're on YouTube half-assed, and
And you get to look at Parker. You
We
can
got a
go on
web-
YouTube.
yeah.
You can look at Parker all day.
and we've got a website too.
Yep.
So, just
And we're-
Google whatever.
Yep.
you know.
And we're at Sullivan's Heron Breweryadventures.com and on Spotify. So
And Brewery Underground podcast too. And listen to the Foamy Heads because we listen to the Foamy Heads, so they're highly recommended. We listen to them means you should listen to them.
It's all been a good group of
And,
people all
yes.
around today.
First
Follow us.
podcast between the both of us. We appreciate it very much.
Yes.
And follow us on Fait La Force Brewing.
Yes,
Instagram,
please. Yes.
Facebook.
Dang right.
Yes.
it's the only way you're going to get those good saisons and all the
Yes.
freshest picks.
And
So.
don't go to Nashville and not go to Fait La Force.
I know.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's
He said
that's
it.
a
His
deal
words, not
breaker.
mine.
This is-
It's all of our words.
Yeah.
This is where the locals go.
I love the space. There's
Yeah.
plenty of room for everyone. Come by.
Don't
That's
judge
awesome.
us
Yep.
because I like Malort. It is what it is.
See you on the next one.
Later, guys. Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers, fellas.
Yeah.